How about this? For me, the approach of today's discussion is not consistent. It's too scattershot. How about, and I'm willing to do this in the honest spirit, we pick one very specific topic in the Quran on this topic of basically justifying the hadith literature as a valid source of guidance. So we can decide in advance what it would be. Then we organize a specific methodical approach about it, and only on that one topic we discuss. Are you okay with that?
Yes. Yes. The methodology, how we derive authenticity or certainty for any document, and then I can challenge you in that debate on your understanding of the Quran, and then you can challenge you can throw them back on me for hadith.
The topic that I want to deal with, just let me finish before you say. The topic I would like to deal with is there evidence in the Quran that requires us to follow the hadith as an external and separate source of religious law? Okay. So
and in that topic, it will be inevitable for us to discuss the Quran itself. It is inevitable. When you use a source as your source of evidence, we will have to challenge it.
No, we just pause it. We both accept it, therefore let's use that.
Sorry?
I'm saying we both accept it, so let's just use that.
We accept it based on different principles, so we're going to.
So we will have to agree on the usul, the methodology of debate. How do we approach the debate? Okay, what we call the conditions of the debate. Okay, we will have to agree on the conditions of the debate, and let's have a debate. No problem with that. We had a very good discussion today.
Well, today I have to say no, it wasn't a good discussion, and that's because, unlike you, I don't do this very much, so I don't have everything prepared, ready to go in my mind.
I didn't come prepared for this topic.
Dude, you have a lot of experience and a lot of...
No, it's not experience. You do. Because I am passionate about these topics. I believe these topics are very important, and that's why I have the information in my mind. Okay.
I told you my memory is not good, which is why I write things out.
You have chosen to believe in certain things without having...
We'll see if I do have knowledge or not.
Okay.
Because as I said, I study and write down because my memory is bad.
Okay, I understand.
That's good. That's good.
It's possible that people have that problem. But Marwan,
absolutely no doubt.
Okay, fine, no problem. So where do you want to do this? In the park next week?
Well, I mean, how about because quite frankly, this is something that is important for my own development as well. My voice is about to crack now. Is there a place where we can either do it on a website or do it by email or something?
No, I hate emailing. I hate those Skyping. I like to do debates in person.
We can do it in private and we can film it for online. And we can put it online unedited.
If it's
unedited.
Unedited. We won't edit it at all.
I don't mind about editing.
No.
Okay, but we will have to agree on the shurut, the conditions before we do.
Everything needs to be on the assumption that we're both Muslims, on the assumption that we both accept on the assumption that we both accept the Quran. For me is,
I believe anyone who rejects the hadith in totality is not a Muslim. I believe that. You can't be a Muslim because you rejected the Quran directly. And the most explicit verse in this regard is the one I read. لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ عَلَيْهِمْ. Here Allah is saying that so that you may explain to them what Allah has revealed upon them is extra Quranic material which the Prophet taught.
Okay. So can I ask? Do you accept the Quran as an argument for anything?
I use the Quran as an argument for everything.
So that means if I could make a logically coherent argument from the Quran, is that sufficient for you?
I agree with that. But I am saying your use of Quran is inconsistent with your methodology. That's the point I'm making. Why are you not getting that point? It's a very simple point. Because your use of the Quran is inconsistent.
We're going to get back into
once we have the discussion, I guarantee you'll find it consistent.
Okay, well, then then I'm going to ask you the same question again. Can you now show me how the Quran reached us? And I'm going to ask
the topic of the debate.
No, okay. Let's debate that topic.
Let's debate that.
Okay, let's debate that topic.
I'm not interested in debating that topic.
Why?
There's a reason for that.
Because
there's a reason for that.
Why not? Why not?
How the Quran came to us, the hadith.
Let's debate the Quran first, and then we debate the hadith. How about that?
So you don't accept the Quran? Is that why you want to debate it?
I'm saying I accept the Quran for different reasons. You accept the Quran. Okay? Your reasons for accepting the Quran are completely different to mine. Okay? Okay. No. It is direct. Marwan, come on, man. I know you're more intelligent than that. It is directly relevant to our question.
You know why?
The reason why I'm picking on the Quran is because the moment you start explaining the process.
The baby with the bathwater.
Sorry?
Because essentially you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
No, I'm not. You are. You have thrown the baby out.
Because for you, it's like it's either the Quran and the Hadith or it's nothing. It's basically your approach. That's the baby in the bathwater.
I'm saying the Quran is incomprehensible without Hadith.
Okay, so when you debate,
that's why Allah said that we have revealed upon you لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهim, so that you may explain to them what Allah has revealed upon them. So it is the Prophet explaining the Quran. I don't need your logic, I don't need Marwan's logic to explain the Quran. I have the Prophet. The Quran is saying he has explained, he's there to explain the Quran. Okay, now he has explained the Quran because the Quran is saying he will. Now he has explained the Quran. Where is that explanation is the question, and that explanation I am saying is Hadith. You're saying no, it's not, and now you're going to have to now pull out something, show me where that explanation is. Otherwise Allah is A'udhu Billah Thumma A'udhu Billah lying to us. Allah is telling us about something that doesn't exist. Where is that explanation of the Quran?
The Quran itself.
Allah is saying
so why would he
Ma nusila ilayhim. Allah is saying it's not the Quran, it is what you're explaining about what Allah has revealed upon them.
What was sent down was only the Quran.
Something else, because Allah is saying وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابِ وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, so that you may explain to them مَا نُزِّلَ
We're going to keep going in circles like the last hour. Let's do the debate.
Debate on that topic. What does the Quran say about it?
No, the Quran. How the Quran came to us?
Oh, yeah.
Do the debate in the park. Do the debate in the park.
It's the Quran.
Be fairer then.
Yes, that is the most important topic for you. You're going to debate with me how the Quran reached us, and then we're going to debate how the Hadith reached us. You can debunk the Hadith.
Those are irrelevant. I told you, even if the Hadith was perfectly preserved,
listen.
the question of whether it's a religious source is a separate topic.
Listen. I need to ask you.
I understand that.
You want
I
to
understand
debate.
that. Now I've given you a verse to substantiate my view that it is a perfectly valid source of knowledge to understand the Quran because of the verse of the Quran. And I have grounds to believe that. Do you agree? I have grounds, solid grounds to believe that. The Hadith is a perfectly valid source of information to explain the Quran because of the Quran.
Well, as I said, my analysis of that does not show that to be the case.
No, that's fine.
But we can see that in the discussion, inshallah.
And the reason you reject Hadith is because of its transmission, its authenticity.
No.
There are statements therein.
That's a secondary reason. The main reason is because of the testimony of the Quran on that topic.
No, your primary reason is there because of your secondary reason.
It's not.
No, it is.
It's not.
It is because you have problems with the Hadith. That's why you reject it. You have problems with the Hadith. The apostasy and other penalties and ahruf, all these things put together, you have problems with these ideas. That's why you have thrown away the baby with the bathwater. That's true.
Those problems are secondary. Primary is that they have no basis in the Quran.
Your primary position
The main reasons why.
was born out of your secondary position.
Don't claim to try and understand my thought process.
No. Can I say?
I know why Quranis are Quranis.
Yes. Most
You don't know
Quranists that we
about
speak.
I know
anything.
Quranis.
You don't know.
And you know Quranis didn't exist in our history. It's only in the mid-20th century when the Quranis were born. You know that?
That's not true.
There is no evidence of the Quranis in the entire history of Islam.
You know what?
No evidence.
Who was Shafi'i arguing against?
Who?
Who was the Shafi'i arguing against when he was?
So you're saying Shafi'i was a Quranist?
No.
And the biggest source of Islamic tradition.
Who was he arguing against?
He was making arguments for why you need the Hadith, the same arguments that you guys use, and the same arguments that the rabbis
The
use.
Mu'tazila. The Shafi'i was dealing with Mu'tazila. And even the Mu'tazila were not Quranis. I'll tell you why. Because they accepted certain traditions and rejected others based upon rationality. So even they were not as extreme as you are today. So they did believe. They did believe in the tradition.
The main reason Quran is rejected is because of the age of
But you do not accept anything. You don't believe mutawatir and ghair mutawatir.
No, just because you can't grasp something, don't reject it. You understand it. Most Quranis that I've come across, not many, this is the problem. Aisha's marriage, apostasy, certain things. Actually, just because you can't grasp it, don't reject it. Understand it. Okay, why did we?
And amazingly, the issue of ahruf, it's there in the manuscripts. What are you going to do with them? Destroy them? Spin them? Misinterpret them? Or interpret them? Or use your logic? No. Those very things we find in the tradition, those 7 qualities of the pre-Uthmanic reading of the Quran are there in the manuscripts. What are you going to do with them?
Have you got an article on that?
Yes.
Where is it found?
100 pages. Behnam Siddiqui. Check this out. The name, write the name. Siddiqui and Gudruzi.
How's he going to spell that?
Yeah, that's
Siddiqui and Gudruzi article on the Quran. Okay?
I wonder the gentleman why he's always with Quranis. I'm just
him?
Yeah.
Is he?
Right.
Is he Qurani himself?
I'm not Qurani.
I know that.
How do I spell this?
I wonder that.
Siddiqui is S-A-D-I-G-I.
S-A-D-I-G-I.
Siddiqui and Gudrazi. And just put and. There are two individuals and just separate. Just separate word and then space. Gudrazi G-O-U-D-R-A-Z-I. Sorry, Gudrazi I. Google it and put the Quranic, put Sana, Codex Sana.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
No, have you read the article? It's over 100.
No, I haven't. I'll have a look at it.
It's over 100 pages, and it specifically discusses the inferior text, and it argues. Once you read that, it's over. Read it, and it's not. These are not Muslim mullahs. These are not mullahs, by the way. These are academics teaching in Western University. They have studied the inferior text, okay, and they have given their view that, in fact, the Islamic tradition, what it says about the Quranic readings is absolutely accurate in this regard, because there is not one thing. There are many things. For example, in the tradition, we are told that Uthman did not add Bismillah before Surah Tawbah, right? This is why in the current Quran we do not have Bismillah. He was asked by the companions to add Bismillah before. He said, I will never do it because it was not done by the Prophet. So these parchments are pre-Uthmanic. The undertext is pre-Uthmanic, and there's no Bismillah there before Surah Tawbah. So there are many things. Check this article out. It's about over 100 pages. You might find it on islamawareness.org. Do you know the website?
IslamicAwareness.org. Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, the article might be referenced there. Okay, if you go to the Quran section, on the Codex Sana, the article will be referenced there. But you have to read this article. Next time we talk, we'll discuss the article.
How do I get in touch with you? Come next week.
Facebook.
Is it this name?
Adnan Rashid.
Let me make a note of it.
Adnan Rashid.
I don't really use Facebook.
And how do we spell your name, mate, please? What's your name?
Marwan.
How do you spell it?
M-A-R-W-A-N.
Nice one. Cheers. Thanks, Bash.
Adnan Rashid. Yeah, that's it. Just Google that. You'll see my picture. Not Google. Adnan Rashid Facebook. You'll see two accounts. One is a personal account. One is a public account. In the public account, I've got my own. I've got the Arabic shamakh on my head, and the personal account is my great grandfather's picture, an old man with a turban. So you don't have Facebook there?
I don't have Facebook.
Not on your phone?
I don't use Facebook.
That's the best way to get in touch with me. That's when you will get the quickest response.
Have you got like a Twitter or something?
I do have Twitter, yeah, same name. Twitter.
It's Mr. Adnan Rashid on Twitter. At Mr. Adnan Rashid.
Okay.
All one word.
Nice talking to you, Marwan. Okay, we'll continue.
Yeah, nice one, Marwan. Well done. Good interview, mate. Well done. You've done very well.
Yeah, not really. It's something that I would normally prepare much more for if I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, Adnan's very knowledgeable, so
Well, I've taken my time historically with this, prepared stuff, but
you will learn a few things
I
and
didn't
pick up
prepare
some
in advance
things.
for this, so
yeah, well, you will
as I said,
pick
my
up some
memory's quite
things
poor.
as well. Yeah, you will pick up a few things from Adnan as well.
Well, I know I'm not a fan of the nature of the discussion. It was too scattershot, but inshallah it'll be better next time.
Yeah, so you only pray 3 times because it only states that in the Quran.
Exactly. The only times that are defined are actually 3 times. So, for example, it mentions Fajr, it mentions the Isha time, which is during the Maghrib period, Maghrib being the sunset period, and then also it mentions the Wusta time, the middle prayer.
Yeah. So is it the morning one?
Fajr, which is during the time between dawn and sunrise.
Okay.
The time between sunset and night, and in the middle of that. Now that's the thing is, in the Quran it uses the word Isha for that sunset prayer, whereas in the practice that Sunnis now have, they say that that's Maghrib prayer, and they use Isha for the night, which is incorrect. It's actually in contradiction with the Quran, like it's in contradiction in terms of the punishment for adultery or for fornication, like it's in contradiction for when the Hajj can be done. Is it during 1 month or 3 months? Many other areas, but unfortunately Adnan Rashid, he has an approach which is taking too many different routes. If there was one discussion point we can have, I'm sure it can be very, very productive. But of course I need to prepare. My memory is not that good.
So sorry, just let me finish. So if it's 3 times in the Quran, where do we get the other 2 prayers?
So the other 2 prayers, this is purely a theory now as to where it could come from.
Is it Ukhba or Ukhba?
Well, where it could have come from is because in the collection of hadith, there was a lot of impact from the Persian Empire at that time. So Al-Bukhari and Muslim and a few others, that was from the area that they came from. And the Zoroastrian religion actually has 5 prayers at similar times. And in fact, as an interesting practice, some of the monks used to also do their prayers 5 times during the day, Vespers and all the rest of them. But in the Quran itself, it mentions 3. And in fact, interestingly enough, even in the hadith, it mentions that at a previous time, it used to be 3. And then they made up this hadith about him going to God and going back and forth between him and Moses and saying between 50 down to 5 and all this kind of stuff. Completely incoherent, completely illogical. But the 3 times are found in the Quran, 5 times are not found there. And interestingly enough, if you look at the Old Testament, in the book of Daniel and other places, it mentions that he prayed 3 times.
Yeah, the Jews prayed 3 times a day.
Exactly. So Salah as a practice is all through history. It's not a new thing with Muslims.
Okay, nice one. That's very good, because I noticed most of them do pray 5 times a day. 90% must be.
Correct. I mean, they believe that that's the correct way, and obviously there's various reasons for that, but for a surety, not based upon the Quran.
Yeah, because you're a Quranist and you stick with that. That's the word of God, and you go with that.
Indeed.
And everything else can be considered. All the other verses and all that can be, and hadiths can be considered, but you don't have to accept everything.
So I believe that the hadith, at the very most, may give some clues to historical things, but is not a valid source of religious guidance. To give you an analogy, the Jews have the Karaites, which are the scripturalists, and they reject the Talmud in its totality. And they say, okay, we follow only the Torah.
Yeah.
And the arguments that the rabbis make against them are the exact same arguments that people like Adnan Rashid and Shafi'i and others make against people who accept the Quran.
Yeah.
The thing is, unfortunately, he would not answer directly the question I asked at any point. The one ayah he gave, the one verse, I gave him exactly the context, disproves him. And he says, oh, well, the hadith says so. That's not logic. I was trying to be extremely consistent, and he would not hold on to it. Inshallah, if we do have a discussion on a very fixed topic, I guarantee you it will be a very different situation.
Yeah, you'll probably both sail through it, put it on the spot, if you're there for that particular thing.
Well, I mean, I have that stuff studied, but as I said, I write it down because my memory is not that
I do
good.
the same thing. When I'm working things out, I write them down and then I add them all together. Yeah, then you can be sure of what you're saying.
Yeah, I'll have it ready and prepared. And I guarantee you, he will be on the defensive from the get-go. Yeah, I guarantee it.
Well, of course he will, because he believes, in what he believes in. And, you're on the defense because you believe the way you believe. So, yeah, it's fair.
It's not just that. It's the fact of the matter is, when the Quran is considered holistically and not taken piecemeal, interpreted by hadith, he has not got a leg to stand on. Like he takes one ayah here. I have studied all of the ayahs and studied them in context, and I've created my documents in that regard. I guarantee you, with the contextual analysis of the Quran, he will not have a leg to stand on his interpretation of that.
Okay, that would be interesting to see. I think, personally, I think you're better off debating in the public, with everyone rather than...
The problem with the public is I'd have to somehow have
time to think.
Ready.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
With a controlled and organized discussion.
Yeah,
I don't mind if it's on Facebook.
You're in their own home. They've got their own studios. No, that would be fine.
If there was a very defined topic, so that it wasn't sprawling over 20 different things, maybe that's doable.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have no problem doing something by email or on a website, simply because you make your argument, I reply, I make my argument,
yeah, that's good.
It's very well structured.
No, I'm very good myself when I'm better off when I write it. I can be more detailed, I can get it all over, I've got time to think, I can get it all in, so I know what you mean.
So let's be clear here. I asked him to prove the validity of the hadith in the Quran. He did not do it. He took one thing out of context. I could give him many reasons why not, but I would need to refer to my documents. Number 2, I asked him about the practice of the Hajj during 1 month when the Quran says months. Number 3, I told him about stoning and abrogation when the Quran says one thing. So he said there's no contradiction. There are many many contradictions where the hadith reinterprets the Quran against its meaning. But we will never get to that by his approach of saying, oh, we'll justify the Quran first. The fact of the matter is, I could reject the Quran and still make the argument that the hadith is not a part of the religion. He's not being logical, he's being tactical.
Yeah, you take the Quran as it is because it's the word of God.
Well, I mean, I've taken my time to consider it. I have thought through it, I have challenged the arguments in it, and because of that, I accept it to be a consistent book that is in accordance with the reality that I know of, it's in accordance with the philosophical analysis of the universe, and so on. But it's not my job here to talk about a historical development of text and the different collections that took place. That's not the point. The point is we both accept the Quran. With that basis, justify your belief in the hadith.
Because he says they come first, and that's where we got the Quran from, you know.
The Quran took place during the life of the Prophet and was collected at that point.
Years,
The hadith, its collection process took hundreds of years.
Some of them were written 200 years later,
There was stuff that was written early, maybe 60 years, stuff that was written 100, 150, 200.
By people who never even knew the Prophet. Sort of.
And also the collectors said that there was millions of fabrications, and it was only their own beliefs, their own methodology, whatever they made up, that said, okay, well, this one is actually acceptable and this one is not. The study of the tradition of oral transmission, it is impossible to do the task that they said they did. And it's easy to prove that by showing the inconsistencies in their work, by showing the contradictions in the text, and by the contradictions with the Quran. That is not a challenge. But the issue is, need to be prepared in advance.
Yeah, nice one. Thanks very much, mate.
What's your name?
Johnny Ray. They call me Ray. Yeah, the channel's Nature TV.
Nature TV. Yeah.
Speakers Corner, London.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I've just had a recent debate with Muhammad Hijab, and he debates a Quranist. That's just gone up there from last week. So we had the same sort of thing. Muhammad Hijab, the Sunni, and he had a Quranist with him, and that's on there for about an hour and 15 minutes. So yours will be going up as well. Is that okay with you? Yeah.
Well, you know, as I said, this was not something that I had any time to prepare. It was totally out of the blue.
No, you've done brilliant. No, so we...
Not really. I mean, not really. I mean, the thing is, it was an unstructured debate. And I did not have my stuff to prepare.
No, that's fair enough. We know that, but it was still good from both sides. So I want to pay respect to you for that.
Well, you know, I disagree. I don't claim to have a good performance when it's not a good performance.
Okay, well, I thought you've done fairly well, and you know, and it went backwards and forwards, which was nice. So I just want to wish you all the best, yeah.
Thank you.
Nice one, mate. And Adnan's down here most weekends, but if you get in contact with him, he'll let you know when he is down here for a full-on debate. Yeah, nice one.